Baseball is what gets inside you. It's what lights you up. You can't deny that.
This is the Rob Dibble Show.
Back on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell in your afternoon drive. Joining us on the hotline is from Ball9.com, one of the finest baseball columnists that's covered the game for the past 40-plus years. Mr. Kevin Kernan joins us. And KK, forget the baseball for a second. Wink Martindale died. We were just throwing around some of the best game show hosts and stuff like that. If I were to ask you, who was your favorite game show host, who would you say?
I like the guy from Tom with the couples, and they ask those questions, and the women would always say the embarrassing things to the husband.
The dating game?
Newlywed. Yeah.
Newlywed game.
Newlywed game.
Great game.
Tom, Eubanks, I think his name.
Bob Eubanks.
There it is. That show was great.
Where did you make whoopee? What is the situation?
I can't say it on the air, but you got to look up the one where he asked the wives, where was the strangest place you ever had?
Well, Dibs said that on the air. Dibs
I said it on the air.
He already said it on the air.
Oh, did you already?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can't get ahead of Dibs on that kind of stuff.
Hey, it was said on normal TV. I figured I could say it on normal radio.
Yeah, that was
right?
so long ago. Right?
That's right.
Hey, Guerrero just hit the home run, his first home of the year. I was watching it live, and they went into the dugout. I put the stupid jacket on him, and at the end, he turns around and goes, "About effing time."
Yeah.
It happens. It happens.
Now, what would you say about the people that are complaining of Juan Soto's numbers? Minus the last two games, he's had back-to-back home run nights. But what would you say to those Mets fans that are complaining about him being under 250 with the average?
Yeah, Mets fans, they have to learn not to be Mets fans all the time and act like Mets fans because they're always pushing the panic button. What I will say about Juan Soto, I think we all expected some kind of, there would be a little ups and downs here whenever you change, when you leave Judge. I mean, they're making what the comments they've made over the Judge thing. If Juan was just being accurate, I think it's important to remember this: Juan Soto was very close to Pat Roessler, the assistant hitting coach for the Yankees. He was his hitting coach in Washington. He was his hitting coach with the Yankees. He was in a great situation with the Yankees. I see a bat today where he hit an unassisted double play to the second baseman, which I've never seen before, where Julian stepped on, got the runner, and then stepped on first. He got into his setup real late, and he was jumping at the ball. So this is all mechanics for Juan Soto. The weather's been cold. You saw him the other night. Did you guys see him the other night with the hoodie on? It was the craziest thing. I mean, I've seen guys freezing before, but I don't think I've ever seen a guy freezing like that. I guess he thinks for $765 million, you should get a bubble and always have good weather. He's too good a hitter. He's going to figure it out. But there's going to be, I have some issues about the Mets. They're not hitting well, and they're doing okay record wise. But nobody's really hitting other than Alonso. So he's just got to forget all the mistakes, that's gone on already, and just be Juan Soto. I think Judge said it best. Just be Juan.
Yeah, I was on a Reds network today. I mean, the Reds as a team are hitting 204. They're not good. Looking at this Mets lineup, other than Alonso, Winker's hitting 182. Taylor's hitting 166. Batty's hitting 179. They'll hit, I think, but when you've got I want to ask you this. There's 19 teams hitting below 240.
Mm-hmm.
We're 2 weeks into the season. It doesn't look like it's changed at all. You have all these new rules to try to get more offense. I mean, but if you don't change your approach, if you continue, even Jazz Chisholm with his torpedo bats got 25 strikeouts in 2 weeks. I mean, some of these guys just are so pig-headed, KK, that they just will not change. How do you get the analytics people with the hitters to try to change their approach at the plate?
Well, you got to change the analytic people. They're the ones that are creating this mess. They created this monster. They pay him for the home runs. And Dibs, you've had me on so much, and I've been saying it's going to happen. They've all created stinky hitting teams now. That's what they've done. They don't know what they're doing. What I just mentioned about Pat Roessler. a veteran hitting. You need to bring back some veteran hitting coaches. You got to reward guys for putting the ball in play. How about I'm watching situations today. They can't even move a runner over. The extra inning fake runner games. Even Brian Kenny now is saying, "Oh, we got to get rid of." He calls it the bonus runner. I call it the fake runner because they can't move guys over. They've lost all basics about how to play baseball. I think the most important quote I heard this week came from Mike Krukow, the great broadcaster with the Giants. He didn't say what player it was, but he was on the field to the Giants and off to a good start. And Krukow was talking to the player, and he said, "You know what we're doing?" And they're having success under Buster. We're playing baseball again. Mm-hmm. We're playing baseball again. That's what that's the answer to your question. They need to get back to start playing baseball again. And I see that in little drips and drabs with certain teams, the Angels, even the Twins today. I thought the Twins, I think the Jose Miranda play will it lit a fire under the Twins. They're hustling. They got a couple hustle plays today. They're beating the Mets. There needs to be more accountability and more baseball. Those are the two. Those are my two secret words for baseball. You can't just let these players run amok, do their things, and pop up. And it's. And here's the other thing. Nobody talks about this. It's boring. It's really boring.
I talk about it. It is. It's a bad product.
It's a bad product, and it could be. That's the shame of it all. We know it could be such a great product. Hit and runs. We all get excited about that stuff. Pitchers in situations like that, when they get out of they get a double play ball. Bring baseball back. Make baseball great again. That's might be worth a cap to put that out there. And that's what I see. It's going to start slowly, I think, with teams, and you got to get the front office guys to buy in on it. Even the Phillies, for their success. They tried to fix Brandon Marsh this year. He's not hitting. There's so many guys on hit. The Dodgers, they're hitting 234.
Yep.
So this is actually, ironically, and Chip Carey's a good friend of mine, and with St. Louis, and they got pretty much one of the best hitting teams out there right now. They're hitting 282. Padres are hitting 277. They learned you put the ball in play, good things happen. The problem with the Cardinals is they don't have enough pitching. But and the Rays will hit too because they're in the bandbox, and they're starting to figure out. We talked about it last time. They're going to eventually figure out line drives work, and so I see teams like that doing it, and we need all the teams to start doing it. Diamondbacks do it, so there are some teams that do it. Even the Cubs do it to a great extent. Have done a pretty good job of it. So it'll come back slowly, and the teams that do it will have super success and just play baseball again.
The best division in baseball might be the NL West with how many teams are viable contenders. I mean, 4 out of 5. But the one team I want to talk about is the worst team in baseball that we never talk about. And, Kevin, we have their AA affiliate in our backyard, the Hartford Yard Goats. The Colorado Rockies, we've seen everyone in their roster come through here, and everyone has potential, and it seems really good. I don't look at them as the franchise that dumb and teaching analytics or teaching the wrong things. I just never put my finger on what the hell's wrong with this franchise. Not just this year, not just last year, but just over the course of the last 5 to 10 years. It seems like the Rockies are always up against it in this division.
A great question, and I think there's two things going on with the Rockies. I have some close friends who are with the Rockies. First of all, you're playing two types of games. You're playing home games as a hitter, and also not just pitching now. And when you're on the road, it's a different type of hitting. You have to have a different type of hitting style. That gets in their players' heads. Now I think they spent their money wrong. They spent big money, and it didn't work right for the players they spent it on. Now I think they're a mentally defeated team. If you watch them play, they have no chance. They get shut out, 3 shutouts against the Padres. Bud Black, I've known Bud forever. Good manager. He's not right for that team. You need a young guy in there that's going to teach some fundamentals. Bud is kind of he's different. You need an offensive-minded coach. They worry so much about pitching, they forget about the offense. That team is in major. It's going to be major problems for years to come. They should not be as bad as they are, but they've let two things get to them. And hitting is all about being mentally calm with it. Where they play, has turned them into bad hitters because they can't hit like that on the road. And then they also have been beaten up by. They got no chance in that division. So they need a complete overhaul. That's I don't like to see guys get fired, but that's an organization complete overhaul, top to bottom.
Couldn't agree with you more. Talk a little bit about San Diego. I mean, you started to talk about the Giants a little bit, but playing great at home, which is always great for your fan base, and makes it stronger for you. But some of these ballparks, like even Cincinnati, that's a hitter's ballpark. You should be able to hit there. Like you were talking about the Rays. The Rays are playing in a minor league ballpark. You should be crushing the ball there. Part of our conversations is about baseball and understanding your surroundings and what's going on at each ballpark. Some are pitchers' parks. So we're going to have a lot of 3-2 games here. We're going to have to pitch and win that game. But I just don't understand the philosophies of numbers when sometimes it's really simplified right in front of you.
Well, that would entail, Dibs, looking at the game. They don't look at the game anymore. I know this sounds like I'm saying something from the moon, but they don't watch the game. The people in charge, they look at the numbers, and they think the numbers translate to different ballparks the same way. Like that's why I said the Rays would have to figure it out. The Padres have figured it out. Machado, I've known Manny forever since he was a kid when down in Dominican and A-Rod introduced him to me before he even made it to the majors. He's kind of setting the tone for that. Arise was a great get for them because even though he may be struggling a little bit this year, he kind of puts his whole thing is about putting the ball in play, and that's what they've done. And I don't know if you saw the column I wrote the other day, but I wrote about how the Masters was just such a great event.
Yes, I did. I read that before you came on.
Yeah, a great event.
Yep.
Have you ever seen a fan base more engaged in an event? That reminded me, 1980, Dibs, I don't know if you knew this, but I worked for a small paper, and I at Balderstall, the U.S. Open, I went, I walked the last 18 holes with Nicholson, and his name was Aoki. And it was a great event to live that. Well, I think the Padres, getting back to what you're talking about, the Padres have got that secret sauce in their crowd. It's 42,000 every night. They're watching the game. They're excited for it. They can't wait to see it. It's not like sometimes with you see it sometimes, and I'm not picking on the Yankees, but it's the price of the seats and everything, and the whole look at me generation. Sometimes you watch a Yankee game and you'll see all the heads down in the front row looking at their phones. I think when you get an engaged crowd like the Padres do, the Padres fans feel like they're in it with the Padres. That's the secret to baseball. That's what Mets fans usually feel like until they get a little crazy on, one little thing sets them off, like the Soto thing. But the Padres fans have figured that out. The Reds should be doing that. The Reds, it's a great baseball town, a great hitting park. But, they've destroyed, again, so much of the game is mental. They've destroyed the team mentally. The Pirates have done that. The Dodgers, I think, are going to go through. It's not going to be an easy year for the Dodgers. I'm telling you right now, the bullpen is not that good. They've overrated the bullpen. I'm a little concerned about Freeman. He's getting older. Things are happening.
Slipping in the shower.
Yep.
Yeah. Larry Anderson, when I covered, when I covered Larry Anderson, he came up with a sprained back, slipped in his hot tub. So it happens. Who knows what's true, what's not true? But I think that Dodger crowd has gotten so big now, a money kind of crowd. They're like expecting it to just happen. It can't be that way. The Padres have more energy. I would say I'll go on the record and say this: the Padres have more energy than any other team in baseball right now. And they were undefeated at home yesterday. The Cubs can do that if they, and they're starting to do that. So they could be an interesting thing. We need to see more teams playing for their fans, and you nailed it, playing in the ballpark you're playing in. Yeah. If you're playing in a pitcher's park, play for that run. But I just watched the Mets game twice. Bunt situations came up, and both times, guys, they square. If it was your travel team, you'd be getting on these guys. They're squaring before the pitchers even is, bringing the ball home.
But KK, like in the '80s, the Cardinals had the fastest outfield because their outfield was so huge. The Royals had the biggest outfield, the fastest outfielders because their building was so huge. They played for that. They built their team for the stadium. Some of these teams don't even think about that crap anymore.
The Rockies are getting back to the Rockies. That's what the Rockies should be doing.
Right.
They should have 3 speed burners. They're not the Blake Street Bombers anymore. So if you can get those guys, if I can get those guys, I get them. But the other way is go get the speed burners, get them to cover the outfield, run like crazy. Everything becomes like Castro's double today against the Mets. Ball hit in a little bit. The center fielder had to move to his left a little bit. He hustled and made the double. So that's baseball, and that's what we need to do. But again, if you have a nerd sitting at his computer looking at numbers, they don't translate that stuff. The A's, I think, may figure it out a little bit with that minor league park that they're in too. So the Yankees, we've been saying it for years about the Yankees. Get some more lefties, please. Get some more lefties to hit the home runs there. And Soto was the perfect guy for that ballpark. I hate to go over, a touchy subject with Yankee fans again, but it worked so well they had to bring him back. That's a big miss for the Yankees in the long run.
Kevin Kernan, ball9.com. Catch some great stuff on that website. Not just KK, but all the people that contribute to that website. The one that I read just from you, KK, was something that we were talking about in the studio. We were talking about the Bucco bricks that were removed from PNC Park. And then we had a listener call us up, say she had one of those bricks, and we didn't know this. She told Kurt, our producer, about the sign being replaced by a Budweiser sign or some kind of beer sign of some sort. Roberto Clemente's 21. And then I look at ball9.com and KK's all over it. Oh, man, this is one that really's got to get you steamed. What are the Pirates doing? This is like their gem, and they are totally crapping all over it.
The Red Sox GM, Ben Sherrington, he's struggling there. I don't care what you say. Yeah, he doesn't have money. The owner is a complete, he's a dope, Bob Nutting. He should not be running the team. There's no, when I talk about accountability, I mean on the field and also in the front office. The team president didn't realize they covered over that with it was not a hard seltzer, but something like that. It was a vodka drink. And, and I go back, like I mentioned in that column, people don't realize Pittsburgh is a baseball town. It's a great football town, but it's a baseball town. I'm drinking a beer in the might be 1994-ish, because I'm there with the Chargers for the playoff game, AFC Championship game where they stunned the Steelers. I'm in a little corner bar, and I'm a Yankee fan. At 7 years old, I had my heart broken because Mazeroski hit the home run. I order up an Iron City beer, and on the beer is Mazeroski, an imprint of Mazeroski tipping, holding his helmet high in the air, scoring on the home run that won the '60 World Series. So that all that's been thrown out the window. You get a Paul Skeens again. I get back to the mental. That seems to be the theme here today. Yeah. Get back to the mental. Paul Skeens. You got Paul Skeens. You pick up a few guys. You make it happen. I don't care how you make it happen. You make it happen, and you get an offense behind him. And you think, and then you start selling ourselves as Major League the movie kind of things, and all of a sudden the fans come out because I was there in the playoffs with Clint Hurdle. Shows you how good a manager Clint Hurdle was too. So yeah, I call them the most embarrassing team in baseball. They've earned it. They've destroyed that great franchise, great ballpark, and I've even heard some bad things about the ballpark. Starting to fall apart a little bit, and. To not understand what Clemente means. And it was right field, too. I mean, it's right there, when I heard that, I jumped all over it and wrote that column. It was one of the easiest columns I ever wrote.
Kevin Kernan, you're a gem. You came in real late today. I love you, man. Thank you for picking us up today. We will talk to you soon, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
You got it, buddy. And one last thing. I'm watching the Mets game. Budo, however you pronounce his name. He's at first base. There's a play at first base. The pitcher he covers back to our PFP talks. He beats the runner, but he's called safe. He starts arguing with the umpire. Run scores. David Cohn again. So
it's like David Cohn.
Check that out, fellas.
You are the best. Kevin Kernan, everybody, go to ball9.com. Check out his stuff. It's amazing. His latest one was about the Masters and what a throwback it is.
So good.
And how the fans absolutely
are
cell
phones at
everything.
Baseball games.
There you go. No cell phones at baseball games. I love it.
I love it.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with Dibble's first Dibs question of the day.